Okay, good. Hi. Was Dale young when he passed? Not young.
Yes.
Yeah. I know he's not 20, but he's, he looks to me like maybe he's 50s, which isn't super old. But anyway, there's a young man who's with him too who's passed. Did you lose a cousin or a friend when you were young, or had you?
My cousin Mike killed himself a year ago.
That's okay. He's the young guy who's with Dale. So here's the thing. Oh, and I called for Mike earlier. Okay, so I'm glad Dale is so insistent, because then Mike gets to talk. So Dale says, I love you, kid. And he says to tell you, you're only as old as you feel. Now, Dale is writing you a little bit, because he says lately you've been feeling really old because you're just really down on yourself. And he says you need to lighten up on yourself. Sometimes you are your own worst enemy. And Dale says if you'll start relaxing and learning how to befriend yourself, then things are going to get a whole lot easier. Dale's also talking about taking on everybody else's stuff. And he says you don't have to take everybody else's stuff all the time. He's talking about writing poetry or writing. I don't know if you have been trying to keep a journal lately.
I've been working on my own psychic abilities for years, and I keep a journal, and I've learned, I do animal Reiki now and animal communication.
That's going to help. That's going to help, because you're an empath. And you just take everybody's stuff on. So the Reiki.
Therapist is my profession.
Well, no wonder you're taking everybody's stuff on. Yeah, and that's what Dale says, is it's really hard for you to start separating yourself from all the sadness, and then you start believing in all the sadness instead of really accepting the hope. But Reiki is a huge turning point for you with that. And Dale says keep journaling about that and keep writing about that, and he would be honored if you would consider him a guide. He truly would. And he's got like his strength and his tenacity and his determination to speak is so cool, and that would bless you, because that's what you need right now too, is that tenacity and that confidence that your abilities are very sharp, and the difference you make with the animals and the messages you get from them are right on. So Dale will help you be determined and dogged in that, he says.
Oh, thank you.
Like a dog on a bone, he says. Okay, so now I'll talk to Mike. Mike said for the first time in his life, he can see clear, he can think clear, and he can feel love. And he said he'd shut that part of himself down so long ago, and it took what it took to reopen it, but it's open, and he's in the light. And he says he wants you to tell that to everybody in his family. He says, I'm in the light.
Does he know how much we all love him?
Yes, but that's what he said. I feel it. He feels it now. And he had to let go of this to feel this. It was like this was blocking him from what was in here. And once that was gone, then all he could feel was love. So he says, thank you for sending him prayers, and he knows of the love, and he feels it, and he thanks you for that. There's he's talking about, somebody had burned off a CD or had made a CD for him. Or for his memorial, did you burn a CD with some different songs?
I think his family did, the other members of the family. He was real into music.
And he says to please tell all of them that his soul lives on in his music. And so just keep playing his music, because that helps carry his memory and carry his spirit on. There's a Zach or a Zane. There's someone with a Z name who was one of his friends. Okay. And so his family would know. So he says, please ask them or tell them. And there's an October birthday or anniversary in his family that he's mentioning.
My mom and dad had the same birthday in October.
And that's cool. So he's honoring them and just mentioning the connection with them. And then also in July, he's talking about a July birthday or anniversary in the family too. The other thing he shows me, first I was seeing a hot air balloon. I don't know if you'd seen a hot air balloon not too long ago. He's mentioning that, but he's saying he's flying high or flying free. But then he's talking about releasing balloons too, or doing something with balloons as well.
We did that at my best friend's memorial when she passed.
She's with you too then. Yep, so Mike says she's here too, and then I see all the balloons going. So yeah, they're together. They're together. She's mentioning a Cindy or Sarah or Sherry who's still here, who would have been a mutual friend or friends with her. You'll think who it is, but again, it's somebody who's still here. She says you gave her a great send-off.
Thank you. I planned the memorial.
You gave her, that's what she says, you gave her the best send-off. She couldn't have asked for a better celebration. And she says everybody was very, very polite, but you still had a very good time. It was a good time.
She says that because I'm still so pissed at her family. It took everything I could to not cuss them out of the memorial.
But that's what she says. You were very polite.
I did it for her, and that's the only reason.
And that's why she acknowledges it. She really does. But she says, you know, it didn't bother me, so it shouldn't bother you.
But once she passed, it didn't hurt her, but I held her while she cried from the way they treated her.
But when she was in that light, and she saw their spirits, and she saw their wounded past, and she saw their pains, it didn't bother her anymore. She let that burden go. And she says, please forgive them, because I have. Please, please, please.
So hard.
It is hard, but she says it's not worth holding on to. It's not worth holding on to, because it's hurting you, not them. And she says, if you understand, like she does, she says she's looking at them, and then she's telling me about there's a Michelle or Melissa, there's somebody with an M name who's here too. Anyway, she says, if you'll see them for who they believe themselves to be, then you'll understand that they're hurt and they're not seen clearly. But if you'll see them the way God sees them, or the way love sees them, then you'll see things as they truly are. So don't be deceived by that. She says instead, just see the love that they are and try to see what God sees. Because she says, I promise it is not worth carrying on anymore. It's not. And she's also showing me French toast and bacon and eggs and making that kind of stuff. And she says she's got a lot of fond memories about that with you. So
she was my travel buddy, and I usually fixed her breakfast every morning when we traveled.
Yep, she appreciates that. And that's what I'm seeing, like the French toast and the breakfast foods. So she says, thank you for taking the best of care of her. She says, I am free. I'm in the light. And she's having a good time with Mike and Dale and all your family. They're all there. There's an Anna, or Anna Marie. There's somebody with an A name. Annie.
That was her best friend who died from cancer a year or two before Rita died.
Yeah, she's with Annie too. She says Annie's here.
Wonderful.
And there's also, there's somebody with a, besides Rita, there's another R name, like Rosemary, or Rosie. I think she's your family though. Did you have somebody who was Mary Rose or Rosemary, someone like that who's passed?
Mary Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
Two Marys that are gone.
Was one a Mary, not Mary Elizabeth, but the other one, or was there a Rose? Or
I don't know a Rose. Well, Iva.
Mhm.
Those are my grandmothers.
No, it's not that. I'll acknowledge Mary because I was hearing Mary Rose, but there's also a Rosemary. I think she's yours though. So either there was an older aunt or someone else in the family who was Rosemary or Rosa or Rosemary, something that sounds like that. And she could be Rita's family. So I would just kind of keep an ear open for that, because I do see her like connected through Rita's family or connected through that side. But they're all there. Oh my goodness, I love Rita's spirit. She's got that. She's kind of got that little bit of sass to her, but that sarcasm and some of the anger is gone, because she really does see the light now, and she understands that. She says, you know that expression, people are just doing the best they can with what they've got. She says that's true, and her family doesn't think they have much to work with, so they're doing the best they can with what they've got. So she says, if you realize you've got all of heaven, then you'll start working with the best of what you've got. And then you've got heaven right here on earth. So keep up with the Reiki. Send Reiki to her family. Keep sending Reiki to Mike, because he loves that. And just keep knowing that you make a difference each and every day. Each and every day.
Mike was on life support for 3 or 4 days before they took him off, and
Mhm.
I gave him Reiki
Reiki.
several times.
It helped him. It didn't help him. He was already perfect and whole and free and all that. But what it did was, and this is interesting, but this is how he wants me to explain it to you. When you were giving him Reiki, it helped everyone who came in to see him, and it helped there be peace in letting him go. Because he was already in the light, but Reiki helped he says it helped create acceptance and peace with finally letting him go. So he says thank you, and that Reiki made a difference, and it made a difference for all. You're welcome. And Rita says, let him go. Like the balloons.
Okay.
That's what she wants you to do. She says it's time for another balloon release, and do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's a perfect day for it. But write the names of all the issues and all the frustrations and all the pain. Write all those things down on balloons and let them go. Send them back to her.
Okay. At her memorial, I had everybody write a message to her on a balloon before
Mhm.
setting them free.
Yeah, it's time for some different messages, what you want to let go. Not a message to her, but the messages of what it's time so you can be free. You'll feel light as a feather.
I miss her.
You will. You will.
I miss her so much.
She's with you all the time. I think it'd be neat, like every 3 months or so, to release balloons or to release something as a sign of connection to her. So,
That's wonderful.
yep. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you. There you go. You're welcome. Yes, there you go too. Thank you. Keep shining your light. You're welcome. All right. Okay. I said one more, and that was before 12 people hijacked me. Okay, so thank you all for coming. So for those of you who were for your first time, was it okay?